Unleashed. I am so excited to have you guys with us on today's show. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be Pinterest focused, and we would love for you guys to share this magic across the interwebs. And as we're going along today, if you like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I gotta let my friend know about this. Feel free to mention them down below. Call them into the conversation because we're going to be dropping a ton of knowledge bombs during the show today. Elisa, how are you doing today? Lisa Meredith.
Hey, Jeff. I am doing great. Yeah, I'm good. How about you?
I'm
A little
good.
bit
I'm
hot?
excited.
A little hot?
I've been excited about the show because I saw our guest over on Clubhouse, and she's been killing it over
Ah,
there. And if you guys don't know, Clubhouse just went out of beta. So if you've been like, I can't get in, I don't have an invite, it is open. The doors are wide open. So now you can come and join Jana's Pinterest club and watch her and listen to her Clubhouses over there. So we'll make sure we get all that information. But Elisa, why don't you introduce our guests? I'm so excited. So I'll just let you start
I
talking.
would be honored. I would be honored. This is Jana O. I'm going to let her pronounce her last name for us. Jana is a marketing expert, provider of premium Pinterest services if you need that, and the creator of Pinterest with Purpose, an e-course. So Jana especially loves supporting online course creators, coaches, and consultants. People who basically share what they know as a way of having a business. And that is what we are super excited to talk about today. Welcome, Jana, and please tell us how to say your last name properly.
Oh, thank you so much, first of all, for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I watch the show regularly, so it's so fun to be
Oh,
on this
thank
end. Yeah, and it's Osofsky is my mouthful of a last name.
you. Okay, all
And
right.
now you know why I just go by Jana O.
Makes perfect
That is,
sense.
yes, yes. So I wanted to give some shout outs to our friends in the audience. We've got Trona in here, who's such a
Hey,
great,
Trona.
faithful watcher. And she was actually, if you missed her episode where we had her on, go back into the podcast, go back into the live videos and watch it because she dropped a bunch of great stuff in that one as well. We've got our friend Brian all the way from Sticky, England. I'm sorry, it's sticky. Maybe take a shower or something. But I feel your pain. I'm in East Texas, which I bet we're stickier than you are, but we'll have to
Yeah,
compare
but
later.
you have air conditioning.
That's right. And Marina says, I'm a big fan of Jenna. Awesome. Thank you
Yay.
for stopping
Us too.
by. And
Hi,
somebody close
Marina.
to you is from watching us from YouTube
Neighbor.
from Raleigh, North Carolina. So awesome, awesome.
Rowdy, yeah. Nice
And
to
I
see
made
you
it.
here.
Finally get to see you live. We are so excited that you are here watching us
So,
live. So this is going to be an
Nito. Okay, Nito is an amazing painter. He's
Oh,
like, oh, I paint houses and I airbrush some murals. I went and looked at the YouTube mural. Oh my goodness. It's like a dinosaur was coming out of his son's bedroom wall. It's amazing. Look him up,
oh,
Nito.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, on Instagram, what did you say? Or YouTube? What did you say?
YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and drop your link there, Nito.
Yeah, do that. So, and Atrona says the UK is not built for heat. So,
Oh,
by the way, we've got some brand spanking new templates that you guys can get that Elisa has, she usually throws these together right before the show, but she made it by the skin of her teeth today. And you can find out more about those and download them. They are awesome, as always, at bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. That's bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. Anything special about these, Elisa?
yeah, kind of. So we've always done the Pinterest toolkits, right? But now all of those Pinterest toolkits are within Tailwind Create, and not only that, but the Instagram post version, the Instagram story version, and the Facebook version are all inside of Tailwind Create. So when you go and use filter by style, Tailwind Toolkit, you're gonna get all of them. So in
Awesome.
Canva, yeah, you can do the pin option, but in Tailwind Creates, right there, you can have them all.
Awesome. All right, let's get this show on the road.
Yes,
So I
let's
know
do
people.
it.
So what we're talking about how to inspire pinners to try something new. So,
Yeah.
down below, let us know. Are you you feel like you're in a rut in Pinterest? Do you need some new ideas? To say yes down below. Let us know if that's you, or maybe you're like, fine, like I got these cool templates now. I don't have to worry about anything. But we're going to talk about some ideas for trying some things new with Jana
Yeah.
here. So, Elisa, take it away
Yeah.
because I know you came up with the questions, and I guarantee you guys we're not going to get through all of them, but we will try.
No, and we will prioritize your questions. So please bring them on. Uh, I This one was kind of a difficult one to name because the focus really here, because we have Jana on and her focus is with coaches and consultants. But I didn't want to exclude product sellers either because it will still all apply to everybody. So our topic kind of is how to inspire pinners to try something new, but with, a little bit of an additional focus on that kind of knowledge economy, right? So if your product is actually your brain, like how do you get that onto a pin? And it's not going to be, well, we're going to talk about what it is. That's why Jana is here.
Right.
So let's just start with that basic question. Like, how can a coach or an infopreneur get people to try something new on Pinterest? Because they're not making a recipe or like a DIY hack that's really easy to show, right?
Right. Yeah, I think that's really the core question here. And it's one that my clients and students ask a lot because, like you said, they're coaches, course creators, sometimes service providers or consultants, basically experts in monetizing, what they know. And so they think some of them still think of Pinterest as a place for, recipes and crafts and things like that. And of course, we love it for those topics, but most people here watching this probably know that there are so many topics, especially in health and wellness, self-care, of course, style and relationships as well. These niches have all really exploded on Pinterest. And so there are a lot of people in my audience who are trying to figure out how to kind of translate, those ideas that they have and that they teach and that they coach around to the platform. And some of that is about how do you make these things visual so that they're visually appealing. And some of it is about how do you take these things that and kind of break them down into almost like a kind of micro ideas that help people to have like these little transformations or little moments of aha. I almost think that they're sort of a little bit in some ways like little mini lead magnets these days. They're really bringing those people to you. So I think those are the two things, is figuring out how to make these things more visual, and then helping people really be creative and think about, okay, but I'm not making recipes. I'm a pelvic health coach, like my recent client, or I am a coach that helps people release trauma through dance therapy. Like, how do I take these things and show them on Pinterest? So yeah, that's really what it's all about. And I think it's about getting creative and really thinking out of the box in terms of how you're presenting your tidbits, really.
Awesome. So let's talk about this and because, like, what do you think is the mindset that makes this so difficult for us to get around? So like we have this question here. I have a new app coming out, so I'd like to use Pinterest to reach my avatar. So let's talk about kind of breaking down some of those roadblocks that we think, like, okay, one, maybe my avatar is not on Pinterest, or maybe, I don't know, how even to drill down and figure out what my avatar, my person who I'm trying to reach on Pinterest is. So can you give us some like tips and maybe some hacks for doing that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that we have to remember that people are on Pinterest looking for ideas and inspiration and things to make their lives and their businesses better. They're looking for things to do and try and buy. And we have to figure out how to capture their attention with things like that. And I think that and it may be this way I think you're right, Elisa, for product sellers as well are often in this bucket too. But I think a lot of the coaches that come to me or course creators for help with this, one of the things that they really have to wrap their heads around from a mindset perspective is that we're not really actually selling coaching on Pinterest. We're not really trying to attract people who are going to Pinterest looking for coaching, right? Or we're not really looking to attract people on Pinterest who are looking for a course to learn how to do something. What they're there for is they're looking for ideas, things to do, things to try, things to buy. And so it's really about figuring out how to inspire them first and putting those ideas forward and bringing them into your ecosystem. Some people like to call that a funnel. You can call it that if you want. It's up to you. With those ideas, and then continuing the conversation from there. Recently, somebody in a Facebook group, I think it was, asked, like, what's something you wish you knew when you first started in entrepreneurship? And, or it was one of those types of questions. And all of a sudden it came to me, I thought to myself, a lot of people, when they first get started, they don't realize that people aren't necessarily going to like see their thing and buy it immediately, right? That there has to be like some of this nurture going on between when someone finds you and, when someone actually pulls out their wallet. And that's even more true on Pinterest. We call it very top of funnel, right? And that's because people are new to us in a lot of situations when they find us, because it's a search engine. So we need to remember to take what we're teaching and what we know, these things that we're monetizing it, and breaking it down into little things, literally little tidbits or micro ideas that are going to give people ideas, inspirations, solutions, things to try, really. So that's what I always encourage my clients and students who are coaches to do, is to think about what those things are. And I have some little sort of like tricks that I, use to sort of help them do that, which I can talk about if we want to go in that direction. So
I would love that, because one of the things I would love to do is have like a tactical example. So maybe not even from your clients or maybe somebody in the audience, but so let's do that and give us an example of like, you mentioned one of hers was, and we don't have to use this, but the pelvic floor coach, or how in the world is that? I mean, because that seems like it's like, that's really niche. And like, how would you do that on Pinterest? So do you have some examples of it doesn't have to be that one, but something
that's
like
a good one.
that. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. And so as an example, she's definitely very niche, and what she sells is her coaching and courses. And so one of the things that she has pinned to Pinterest, which has done really well, is this. And so many of my clients are health coaches, so we get into these sort of like, these health related things. But so hopefully this is okay. But she's pinned an opportunity for people to grab a copy of her bladder diary, which helps people with incontinence. So it's really a way that people can grab this thing that she has, which is really just a printable. And we're very familiar as Pinterest users and Pinterest marketers with the ideas of printables, right? But essentially it's a printable that guides someone through this process of becoming more aware of what this potential problem is that they're having. And of course, it's a lead magnet as well. So it's also going to help them to sort of take next steps along that road of solution as well. So that's one thing that she pins. She created an idea pin recently, which was about how to do Kegel exercises and how to do them the right way and how to do them the wrong way, like the mistakes people typically make, and how to do them the right way. And one of the types of idea pins that I've been encouraging people to think about when they think about different approaches to creating idea pins is that comparison, like taking two different things and comparing them. And that's a great example of her using that idea. She's comparing what it's like to do this type of exercise the wrong way and what it's like to do this type of exercise the correct way that's going to get you the results that you want. And that's really how it is with coaches, right? They're helping us get different kinds of results or transformations. So that would be a really good example. So I'm glad you brought that one up. And I have tons more, obviously, if anyone needs inspiration.
So I need that bladder diary, because Elisa goes a long time on these with the questions, and I have to get off this show really, really fast.
Jeff has this
Thank you for bringing the humor to that.
It's like my water bottle. But,
yes,
I need that diary.
I'll make sure the next example is a little bit less.
That's good.
Embarrassing.
So the question that it sounds like, so it's not like I'm selling my coaching. Sign up here to get my coaching. It's X amount of money. It's like solving a problem, and you're giving almost like a freebie, like, okay, here's how you get to A to Z, and here's a thing like a downloadable or something that can help. And then that leads to that top of funnel that you were talking about before.
Yep. And I think that we need to be thinking about idea pins kind of like we think of our free content, right? We have free content that's gated, meaning that you have to give me your email for it. And then we also create free content that is not gated, that's meant to inspire people and show your expertise and bring them into, the beginning of this transformation process. So that's exactly right.
Ooh, that's a perfect segue to idea pins, wouldn't you say? Because that is okay. I know what you're thinking, Elisa.
So I noticed that you are a big proponent of idea pins. How are you using them for coaches?
It's so funny to hear you say that, because I feel like it's taken me a while, like it has a lot of people, to get to the point where people would perceive me as, because I am a big proponent of idea pins. It's so funny. So I think it's really, I've come around to understand that idea pins are really a great tool for people who are infopreneurs, who are teaching what they know and monetizing that, and who are leveraging personal brands. And that's really what coaches are doing in most cases, coaches and course creators as well, if they're very niched. And I love to work with really niched coaches and course creators. So that's exactly the thing, is I like to think of these idea pins as these little micro ideas how-tos, this or that's the comparison. So there's different approaches you can take again. And I think that they're fantastic for not only the reach that they're giving us, because at the moment they're being prioritized to some degree on the platform, but also really for showcasing the things that we have to offer and can teach through our free offers, our paid offers, our free content, our paid content. So yeah, I'm all about them these days.
Cool.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I let you have this mic, but this is so this is really good because we were talking about some of this stuff, and I was, Brian said too much information. Before we were talking about that, but yeah, so
Sorry.
but this is a good. I think it's important. It's like, what if we pin about more gloomy topics like breast cancer awareness in her case for Marina? So I think that's a great question because we were offline and I was joking before that one time Elise and I were doing this about kind of thing. What can we pin on Pinterest? And I said, well, I think anything but Undertaker stuff. And then I got all these comments in about, no, you could talk about grief and all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I won't ever say that again. So what do you tell people for like they think, well, I can't be on Pinterest because it's not happy and it's not a really inspirational, or do you move it to inspiration? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think both. Number one, I think that Pinterest has been really clear with us through its overt cues, but also through some of the, we read between the lines, obviously, on things they say, that they no longer see the platform as a place where people only expect to see Pinterest perfect content. So I think when we're creating content on the platform and pinning content that is off the platform that actually is real life and raw and about real human experiences that people can relate to, that is actually the right way to go. So I would never want to steer clear altogether and be like, oh no, flip that, make that positive. Like, we don't want that, right? It doesn't all have to be positive all the time. But I do think there are opportunities, of course, because some of the people in the audience that you might want for that particular topic are looking for inspiration. So you also could flip it and say, okay, what do they need? What do they want in order to feel good about what's going on with this particular topic right now? Okay, now how do I give it to them? So I think it's both. I think it's show up imperfectly, show up real and with, what people can relate to, especially your people. And then I also think it's about providing people the inspiration and kind of holding the space for them to kind of push themselves maybe more toward the positive aspects, but not expecting them to be there all the time.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? Is
Right.
that kind of,
Yeah, totally. Can we talk a little bit about bridging that gap? So kind of going back to your example with Kim, being a pelvic healthcare coach, how does she bridge that distance between pinners seeing something on Pinterest, like how to do Kegels properly, and actually signing them as clients and making money, which, we like to help people, but we also have to pay the bills.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, I think the short answer is through your funnel or your customer journey. And I think that, a lot of coaches and course creators, people in my audience are new to Pinterest as a platform because a lot of people in that arena just are really just discovering it over the last couple of years as a way to attract potential clients and buyers of their programs. And I think there's two things that really come up that mystify them in the beginning about Pinterest. One of them is the whole keyword search engine thing, right? People just think of it as a, so we've had many conversations about that. We know that it's a search engine primarily, that it behaves that way primarily, although it has some social aspects to it. But the other thing that I think still mystifies people about it a little bit, and I'm trying to get the word out about it, is that Pinterest really isn't a place yet. And I really hesitate to say that it'll even get there because I don't know that that's how people come to Pinterest or what they want there, where we're really building relationships, right? And so a lot of times when people are brand new to Pinterest, and I know not a lot of the audience who watches this are really brand new, but I'll remind them or let them know for the first time. And for some people, it's a huge aha moment that Pinterest is a lot like Google in the sense that people search things and then Pinterest gives them things that they think are solutions, answers to their questions, things that they'll like, that'll inspire them. And so I ask people like, okay, if you were going to try to, nurture your audience and build relationships on Google, how would you do that? And it's like,
That's difficult. Yeah.
So I think the short answer to your question is funnels. The longer answer to your question is building out a customer journey where you're taking people down a path. And frankly, the way that Pinterest operates right now, we don't know if it'll always be this way, but the way it operates right now is it's a great place to get discovered by new people, but it's not really a place where we're like having conversations and building that like, know, and trust. So you have to have a way to build that like, know, and trust. And for some people, that's growing their email list. For some people, that is bringing people to maybe a Facebook group, although I don't think that's my favorite method, but you could do it that way, I guess. And just to be clear, this is not about pinning to your Facebook group. Like, that's not how it works. It's about bringing people somewhere where they're going to learn more about you, which is probably your email list. And then, maybe offering them the option of going deeper with you by joining your Facebook group or doing this or doing that or whatnot. But I think that's really the name of the game, is figuring out exactly what you're saying. What's the connection? And, in all honesty, not everybody loves to hear this, but for 99% of the people that I know who are infopreneurs and have a lot of success on Pinterest, the answer to that is email marketing.
That makes a lot of sense. I also feel like Instagram is a really great next step from Pinterest. So encouraging people with probably in your profile on Pinterest to also follow you on Instagram. And it's really handy if you have the same username. But like you kind of alluded to this, where Pinterest would really like Pinterest to be a place where pinners and creators really connect on a personal level. And I'm kind of with you, like, we'll see if people really want that. But so far, I'm somewhat encouraged. I typically tag people in my stories, companies like the paint or the pigments or whatever that I'm using. And almost every time, at least one of them will comment. And I feel like that's the very start of something you could do with your followers as well.
So on that topic, I know a lot of people are saying, we kind of talked about idea pins a while back, and a lot of people are saying the reach is not going as well as it used to be. Mine actually have shot up lately. I don't know what it is. But one of the things we're talking about, Pinterest, it's not a place to have conversations and go deeper kind of thing. One of the things I have seen, and especially since idea pins have taken off, is people posting, even if it's cross-posting their TikTok videos, you're seeing their faces. And I've seen a lot of different places, like Laura Reich does this really well. She uses clips of her lives to take people, even if they don't go back or they search and go to their profile and click to sign up or whatever, they're seeing her face. They're seeing her talk about, a subject and having authority. So I think that's a really cool thing that's kind of like that subtle, like, how do you get the ROI of a billboard kind of thing? What is that? And so I think there's a lot of that where that know, like, and trust can, the first steps can happen with some of the things that Pinterest is doing, especially with idea pins. Do you guys agree, or am I off course?
Yes. Yeah, totally agree. I have this one idea pin that has 47,000 impressions, 1.2 thousand clicks, and the cover image that I chose is the painting I'm working on, but it also includes like a side view of my face, wearing this crazy hat thing to keep my hair out of the paint. That has way more views than any other idea pin that I have done, except for one. The other one that's doing really well includes videos of me talking. Like, I would rather not, because I'm up in my studio, a little hot and sweaty, probably have paint all over me, but people really seem to like it. So I'm going to have to do it.
So Jordan says this, she goes, people want that human interaction. We've been inside for so long over the last year or so, but people are messaging me to say, just Jeff, stay inside. Don't come out. So, but most other normal people, they're saying, come out. So I think seeing that face is a big deal. So
I also think there's something to video, and that's something that's being discussed in the comments a little bit. Maybe it's an issue that it needs to be video versus images, and video clearly seems to work better. In idea pins.
So I want to do this question because I think this is great, because I'm glad, one, that people feel comfortable enough to ask this question, but I think it's always great to go back to the basics. Stacy asked this question, newbie here, what's the difference between an impression and a click? So that's a great question. Elisa, I'll let you go because I want to make sure if you get it right.
It's quiz time. Oh no. So an impression basically means how many times your pin appeared in someone's feed or search results. So how many eyeballs potentially may have seen it. A click means, with an idea pin especially, means that they have clicked to see more. I don't know if if it also includes clicks from one page to the next. I was assuming not. I was assuming it just like to get to your pin, but I know that like advancing from one page to the next is another good engagement signal.
Yeah, I don't know the difference. Do you
I
know?
don't think it includes that. Yeah.
So
What do you think?
we'll have to do on idea pins. I don't know, but if on like a regular pin, it means they've gone over to what you need it to. So, Jana, what is the metric that you track the most when you're looking at if saying a pin is successful or not?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely still outbound clicks for me. But when it comes to idea pins, I'm also looking at profile visits and follows. But I think that the profile visits actually, to me, feels more meaningful than the follows. So if I were evaluating idea pins based, because, recently they made it so we can now see the profile visits and the follows, right? On idea pins, they weren't like that initially. When they took them out of beta, around the time they did that anyway, they added those two metrics, which to me opened up a whole world of understanding like how these are actually helping us grow our audiences. And we actually now see some evidence that these things are actually helping us in this way, right? Which is so exciting, not just for me personally, but also for me in terms of communicating the value of creating these things and honestly, overall the value of the platform to people, really. So I think that for me with idea pins, those profile visits are the metric I'm looking at the most. And then I think the click-through rates, CTRs on static pins and video pins to some degree. And then the CR, I guess we'd call it, the click rate. So the ratio of impressions to pin clicks would be an important metric, I think, on idea pins as well.
So on that note, have you changed the way, since idea pins rolled out, have you changed your profile to optimize it in any way to get more of those clicks? What have you done for that?
Yeah, so much. And I teach about that a lot now too. So if you'd asked me 2 years ago if it was important to optimize your profile from a visual perspective, right? It's always been important to optimize your profile from a keyword perspective, but I would have said, yeah, I mean, it's a nice thing to do, but I wouldn't let that distract you from doing the more important things that move the needle on the platform. More and more, I'm seeing evidence, not only an indication with the way that the UI is moving, where people like the user interface itself, like that's actually the way they've been making changes. It's driving people more to our profiles. Idea pins are just one example of that. And I'm also seeing in Google Analytics more people clicking through to the homepage for me and for clients, which I think is really, really interesting. It took me a while to kind of try to figure out what that all really meant and to make sure that I really felt confident that it meant what I thought it meant. But I do think that most of the time that means people are going to your profile and clicking through, like literally clicking on your claimed domain. So yeah, I think that having these days, and I actually created a template that's a lead magnet that I have for people to create a cover image that has a call to action on it, because I think that your eyes automatically go to that cover image. And so having a call to action on that, if it's classy, is a really good idea. So that's one way that I'm optimizing client profiles now, as well as, my own, and encouraging people to optimize the visual look of your profile. And I know this is controversial, but I have always liked board covers. And so I personally am still a fan of board covers, and I think they make a big impact on when people land on your profile. If you are leveraging a personal brand, which again, a lot of the coaches and course creators are, helping people understand that this is your business, that you're very intentional about what you're curating here for them. I think it sends that message subtly. So I still like board covers too.
That's really interesting. You never know, because things that go out of style can come back, hashtags. But
you just said that because Peg is here.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah. So back to, we're talking about traffic and analytics, and you mentioned, how important it is to get click-through rates. So let's talk about one of the things that helps drive click-through rates. And you have a post, I think, one of your lead magnets, it's like 75 call to actions that aren't a snooze fest. So what makes, especially on Pinterest, what makes a good call to action?
So I think that they need to be short and snappy, but I like them to be specific. So instead of just click here, download this. I like to try to be a little creative and make them more specific too, because I think it reinforces on a really kind of like subtle, like almost like, what's the word? Like unconscious level, like they're not just clicking to click, they're clicking to get the result. that you're promising. So, take this to the grocery store, or get the five, get the big, learn the big five, or, something like that, that actually is specific to the thing that you're dangling.
Awesome.
Okay.
Very cool.
Can we talk about design here? Like how do you effectively show coaching?
Yeah, I think that really does come back to, again, this idea that we actually don't want to try to show coaching
Right.
in our pins, because these are people mostly who are discovering us for the first time. They most likely didn't search like style coaching, but rather they searched work capsule wardrobe, right? So like my client Cassandra helps people do just that, create a capsule wardrobe for work where they're going to go and they're going to feel confident. She works mostly with like C-suite executives who are in their 20s. So people who got promoted to the C-suite like way before they ever thought they would, and they don't know what to do or how to look or what to wear. And they're usually in the cities. So they're looking for like these minimalist capsule wardrobes, but that are going to, set them up for success in their professions. So again, super niched, like just like this tiny little niche. Like she knows her audience so well. She knows just what they need. So it makes it a lot easier when that's the case to find, the keywords and to know what we're looking for and who we're trying to get in front of. Oh my gosh, I feel like I got it off on a tangent and I forgot what the question was.
No, that's good.
What was the question?
You're still on the right track. It's about design, pin design, and how we're not going to show the actual coaching. We're going to show the solution, right?
Yes, exactly. The solutions they're looking for, the ideas. So she did an idea pin as an example where she talked about the difference between, what you're actually getting when you're buying like a $425 like blazer, like a woman's blazer, versus buying like a $79 or a $29 or whatever it was, woman's blazer. And so she showed the difference between them. And that's the kind of thing that people are looking to understand. They're trying to understand why in the world they would want to invest that kind of money in one piece of clothing, right? So her audience is hungry for information like that. So we're not creating a pin that says, it's not that you couldn't create a pin that says, hey, this is what it's like to do coaching with me. And I've seen some of those out there, and I think it's fine to do that. But you don't want to just skip right to that. You want to ideally start at the beginning where you're giving people those ideas and those inspirations, because that's what they're looking for on Pinterest, and that's what's going to catch their attention. Once they know you and you've given them some of those ideas, if they see something that's a little bit more maybe closer to how do you show coaching, then you might be good. But we can't hang our hat on that and assume that is going to be what's going to work. So but that would be an example of how to show coaching, would be like, here's literally the process that here's my framework, here's how I work people through this framework.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think that could make a fantastic idea pin, right? Ever wonder how blank coaching works? Let me walk you through it.
Absolutely. Right. As long as that's not the only kind that you're creating.
Oh, yeah. That's
So
for sure.
So I thought capsule wardrobes was a pill that I could take that would give me fashion sense. That my wife was really looking forward to that, but that's not what it is, folks. I'm telling you.
Thank you.
But I'll tell you what, it's always in fashion, are templates. So you guys can go find out more about that at bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. That's bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. It's amazing. Check them out. Elisa, I know, and the little designer elves over at Tailwind spent a lot of time on this. So.
Otherwise known as Kier. Yep.
Yeah, make sure that you check. They're amazing. They're amazing pins, and they're Canva, and also they're also built into a Tailwind Create, so you guys can go right in there and do a search and make them right inside of Tailwind. So check those out. All right. So we got some great questions in here.
Yeah, let's get some audience questions.
Let's see here. Oh, so this is great. So this is how many idea pins, let me take that off, are you doing per week? Is there a suggested amount? Elisa, how many are you doing a week?
I am doing one.
A week?
One a week, because that's how often I paint, and that's what I'm doing idea pins for. I'm also in the Pinterest creator community, and in order to keep your status there, like to be in the membership, which allows you to get into some really cool conversations, you have to create at least once a month. I don't think they're saying that's like the minimum for success. I think that's just a requirement to stay in that group. So I would say once a week would be the lower side.
Is that what you're saying too, Jan?
Yeah, for people who are just getting started with Pinterest, I'm recommending, in addition to, a certain number of static pins, also doing one idea pin per week. I myself started doing just one, and then I had this this moment where I sat for a little while and like batch created a bunch of them.
Nice.
And then they were all ready to go, and I was going to drip them out over the course of the next couple weeks. And then I got ambitious and just put them all up there.
They were so good. You couldn't wait.
And
Yes.
I'm really glad I did, because I wanted to know if it would diminish, how that would work. And of course, it's just, one account, just my account that I'm experimenting with. But I got good reach on all those pins that I pinned like daily, back to back to back, one per day. So I think as many as you want to, I think, but one per week is a good place to start.
So, Lisa, I'm interested that you're doing painting, and we've talked about before is like making sure that has to do with your topic, or like what your account is about, and that to me would seem like it's not, but you're getting success on that. So, what would you say? Is that something you would recommend or not, or is it more of like, I'm seeing the real Lisa Meredith, I want to find out more about her, and it's not like you're going to teach painting. Yeah.
No. My account is so far gone with all the experiments that I've run that I'm not even trying to get reach for my marketing content.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So like, don't do what I did. Right? If I was really, if I was really trying to build my marketing business and my reputation and marketing through Pinterest, I would not be sharing idea pins about painting. But because I've done so many crazy things and attracted followers who do not care about my marketing, kind of hurts a little bit, but they're digging the painting. So, I'm just going to go with it. And again, like Jana said, and you said, we're always just experimenting, and then we can share it with our friends and see what we learn.
So this is a great question. Can Jana share her Pinterest URL?
Sure.
So
yeah,
we'll drop that in the comments. Or you can say it. Let's say it for the podcast so people may be listening.
Yeah, I'm Jana O Media everywhere. So it's pinterest.com/Jana O Media.
Awesome. This is a great question from our friend Jennifer Laura. She goes, thoughts on number of pages and idea pin.
That's a good question. That's such a good question.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts, Elise? I'll go with you first.
Okay. Well, I think Pinterest recommends 5 to 7. I would say just definitely more than one. It's really hard to tell a whole story or share an entire idea in one pin. And that's where I think you see comments from frustrated pinners saying, but like, how do I do this? And there's no link. How do I get to? Like, the point of the idea pin should be everything is right there. You don't get an external link and you're not missing it because it's all in there. They also do look at advancement from page to page as an engagement signal. So like having pages that are so compelling you have to go from one to the next is fabulous. Use as many as you need to tell the whole story.
What about you, Jenna? What do you say?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm creating them with at least 5 pages because that's been the guidance from Pinterest, and I want to be doing things the way that they are suggesting because I want to see how that works. But I will be honest and say it's a little frustrating because when I look at my own feeds, and when I say feeds, I mean both, because I have a personal account that I toggle between and then my business account as well, and I look at both feeds. A lot of the idea pins that I'm seeing surfacing in my smart feed are one panel. So it's kind of one of those things where I feel like I don't know if they're like if they really mean what they say yet. So it's like I feel like sometimes it takes them to like catch up with it. I don't know why all these one panel pins are surfacing in my searches and smart feeds.
So I have a guess.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you have a guess, Jeff?
No, you go. You guess.
Okay, I think Pinterest is really hungry for idea pins, and so they don't have enough 5 to 7 or 5 to 20 page pins, so they're going to show kind of what they have. Yeah. I think, like you said, I think they're going to catch up. Yeah, so like do more.
So I have had, and like I said, mine have been boosted up, and some of them hit over 10,000 impressions, and I mean they're just really going crazy. Which is like 2 or 3 panels. And what I'm doing is for my show for Social Media News Live that I do is I take the guest who gives a really great succinct like tip, and I'll make a title page that has the question like, why is Instagram no longer a photo sharing app? ? Then I have Peg Fitzpatrick answering that question. Then it's like an ending pin, and it's not too long of a video. Sometimes I'll do a video just like a something to catch their eye, like exploding paint behind the title, and that gets people to stop, and then they watch the rest. And I'm seeing really now it's a slow burn like anything else on Pinterest. You put it up like you expected, like on Instagram, and you get all this feedback from a story. That doesn't happen. It's been this really slow burn, but they are really starting to ramp up, and I think it's because it's a mixture of video and the idea pins.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Okay. So, what about keywords? Is there any difference when we're talking about coaching as opposed to products or recipes or anything like that?
I don't think so. I think my audience, like anyone's audience, has particular challenges with translating their content to the keywords and really stepping into the shoes of their ideal audience to think about what it is that they would be searching, what they would be searching. But I think that we kind of have those challenges in every audience and for all types of monetization methods on Pinterest. It's really about finding the keywords that your ideal person, is looking for, and also what you want to attract. But again, I think that's the same across the board. So it's not just about, I always think about keywords like a Venn diagram, like one circle is the things people are searching for, and the other circle is like what you create and can help with and can monetize and do monetize. And then you really want to be looking for the things in the sweet spot. And if it's in one circle or the other, but it's not your sweet spot, then it's not for you. But I think that's really I think it's the same. I don't think there's a lot of differences. It's really just about figuring out what people are searching for that is also what you want to attract.
So do you have any like super ninja tools that you use for keyword research, or what's the best way that you like to do your keyword research? Because I'm all about tools, and you're probably going to say trends.pinterest.com, but is there anything else that you use?
My super ninja tool for keyword research is my brain. And my clients' brains, being able to, really get in there and find out what people are. No, I use the search bar primarily. And I'll share a little tidbit that's something I think that's kind of interesting. When people were all concerned because the guided search tiles were going away, it didn't bother me that much because I've never really looked to those guided search tiles. I always use the search bar. I do like to look at embedded guided searches when I'm trying to think out of the box, because some of those embedded guided search tiles will give us better ways or different ways to say the same thing that we can't quite figure out right now because we're like just hyper focused on like one particular way of saying something. So you could go to the search bar and see something, but then when you search that thing, if you look at the guided search tiles that are embedded among the pins, it'll say like some other ways to say that same thing. I call those parallel keywords. But no, there's no ninja tools, just,
Cool.
yeah, I think it's really about knowing your audience. That's really the key to all of it. Right.
So Courtney Stitch says she loves Uber Suggest. I have not tried that. I'll have to go in there and play with that. So I use the search tool mostly.
Neil Patel's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always start with your Google keywords and then just kind of adapt them a bit for Pinterest, knowing that Pinterest searchers are not looking for brands names specifically, and they're way higher up in the funnel. They're looking for ideas, tips, DIY. So if you can like pair that with any of your Google keywords, you're on your way.
Yep.
So we've got a couple minutes left with Jana here. So let's ask her questions before she's gone. If you can tell, she kind of knows what Pinterest is all about. So make sure you ask those down below. At least I know you have. Yeah. Once again, we're not even halfway through. But what's your next question?
Okay, so there was a concept that I read about on your website, and I want to know a little bit more. So you talk about marketing a coaching business by creating and growing your body of work. What does that mean? How can we do it? And what part does Pinterest play?
Yeah. So I think that Pinterest plays the role of getting more ideal audience type of eyes on that body of work. And I think traditionally we've put our body of work on a blog or in a podcast or a YouTube channel or some kind of long form content. And I'm personally a big proponent of continuing to do that because I just think that having a place that's your own home base that you control every aspect of the customer journey. That's the way to get people on your email list, which is, I could talk for an hour about why that's so important, right? It's got to happen. But the body of work really is as you're going, building something that is really like searchable essentially and evergreen, so that people can really binge on your content when you're not actually working. So you could be off doing something else, but you're nurturing your audience really, because they're there getting the answers they need, having little aha moments. And all along the way, you are showing and demonstrating your expertise and your ability to help them solve these problems. So to me, my body of work is my blog. So I think of it as like the long form content place. And Pinterest is just, an honestly incredible way to get people to see that body of work who otherwise would not have seen it and would not have found out about you, but are already interested in the topics that you write about and teach about and create video content or podcast content about. So that's what I mean when I say body of work, is this place that people really can go when you're not even working, to learn more about you and what you teach and how you solve problems for people.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. So your Pinterest account could be an extension of your blog or website.
I think that the idea pins do give us this opportunity to do that, but just like we don't control Instagram or we don't control Facebook, we also don't control Pinterest. If we did,
right.
Yeah. So I think that it's still important to, even though idea pins are all the rage and it's a great place to repurpose your body of work, I don't think it should be where your body of work lives solely. In my opinion, that's just my opinion.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. You have to have a home base that's yours. Yeah.
So have you noticed any, we've talked about Pinterest changing and, it may change later and all this stuff. So have you noticed any specific trend? I know you're in the coaching, so you're really watching kind of that, and you have clients that are really, kind of the high-end coaches and stuff like that. Are you noticing, maybe even in that industry, a trend that you're seeing, like more transparency or self-development or, quotes? What are you seeing, like, one, that you're seeing a lot of, and two, what do you see that maybe is working that you haven't seen working before?
Do you mean on Pinterest or with their
on
content
Pinterest.
in general?
Yeah, on Pinterest.
I guess, I do think we've kind of covered some of the things that we know are working better for some accounts and some niches. And I think more and more I'm realizing as I go, I've been doing this for like almost 6 years now, that it really is so different for everybody's account, like literally everyone's audience, everyone's niche. You could have one, hormone health coach and another hormone health coach, and they could do completely differently on Pinterest and different things perform for their audience and whatnot. But I've been seeing, like, for sure, like the video content doing well, but I don't know. I'm always having this conversation with my friend Heather, who's you guys know Heather Ferris. She's the co-founder of the club over on Clubhouse, about whether or not video pins and video in general is performing well on Pinterest because it's what people want, or if it's because, it's what is being put forward by the algorithm, or however you want to call that. So, my mind goes to video, but I don't know. And I think that's the same for all niches. So I think when it comes to coaches, the coaching to me is just the way that people are monetizing. It doesn't really change some of the basic Pinterest strategy as far as how you're building your audience there. You're building your audience in the same way that somebody else might build it, but you're monetizing and you're setting out like kind of a different path for them. So other than the video thing, I can't think of anything else.
Let's talk about that for a little bit, because one, and we covered this on the other show I talked about earlier with Peg, that Pinterest, Instagram said it's no longer a photo sharing app. It's going to be video. It's going to highlight entertainment and all this kind of stuff. And, a lot of times we've said before that Pinterest wants to be Instagram, and so, a little bit, but are you going to have to educate your clients to do more and more video? I think it's going to stay, because I think it's just interesting to me. YouTube Shorts rolled out, which is up to a minute of video. TikTok lengthened its video to 3 minutes. So I'm seeing this like short form content that's like at least 3 minutes long is what I think a lot of the platforms are going to want to have. And we are just going to have to learn how to create that. And I know, especially with pinners and Pinterest people, because we're photos, we can take our time, we can craft an image, and this kind of organic feeling that we're getting from like Instagram and TikTok and Pinterest is pretty scary for a lot of people. Do you have any advice or thoughts about that?
I think again, it comes back to the idea that more and more people want to see real people, and that is also what people are now gravitating towards on a platform like Pinterest, where we used to think of it as like this, Pinterest perfect platform. So I think that's where that comes back. Honestly, a lot of my audience, the coaches, the infopreneurs in general, it's not hard for them to make the adjustment to the idea pins and video pins and creating content in little micro pieces.
Right.
They're actually doing it generally in other places already. And it's really just a question of figuring out how that can work on Pinterest, because they come to me with these assumptions about how they think it could work on Pinterest. And there's such differences right now between what people go to Pinterest for versus what they go to Instagram for, as an example, or how people actually find your stuff, in one place versus the other place. So overall, I think most of the people I know don't have a hard time adjusting to that. They know that that's kind of the future of things. I will say, though, as an aside, not really related to like the coaches or the infopreneurs, is I personally think that at some point there's going to be a little bit of I think the pendulum's going to start to swing in the other direction. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen soon or not, but I have this gut instinct that people are going to want to start going deeper again. And they're going to start wanting to read things again.
We can't have a mix. It's always one or the other. It's like, and it does. Maybe we'll go back to, we just want photos. Give us photos. Quit talking to us.
Yeah. Do you guys think that's true too? Do you think at some point people are going to get away more from micro content and actually want to go deeper with people and not just necessarily be looking for those, quick, I have no attention span to watch something more than a minute type of content?
So I think it's going to come to different platforms. I think that if you need to figure out how to put shutters on your house, you're going to go to YouTube and watch a 15-minute video on how to do that. If you want to be entertained, you're going to go to TikTok. Pinterest, I still think it's up in the air on what they're going to want to do, because forever we gave them so much content because we wanted links back to our content, and they gave us that. If they take that away from us and push, we've talked about this on the show all the time, is we see a lot of stuff where that's not happening as much as it was. Will people quit creating content on Pinterest? I think they're going to do it as long as it's valuable to them. And so, but I also think there's going to be places like what you're doing over on Clubhouse, where you can go deep, or you can listen to somebody and then have those kind of authentic engagements where it's low friction. I don't have to get my makeup on and my beard combed and get in front of, on live video. I can just get on Clubhouse and talk to you and have that relationship that way. So I'm wondering if we're going to fragment more, but I don't know. I mean, it's just, what are your thoughts, Elisa?
I wonder too about the generations and what they want. So I think one of the reasons Pinterest has gone the way that they are is because of the huge increase in Gen Z pinners in the last year. And I think that really drove them to idea pins and creating that social aspect of it that the younger people want. And here I'm sounding like I'm 90, but I think that those of us who've been on
those whippersnappers.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah. But I think it's a lot of it is what they want, right? So I feel like it's really hard for me to speak to what will happen, because I'm not in that spot. But I loved Pinterest as an introvert, right? Because it's kind of you don't have to put yourself out there, you just put your thoughts out there, and that's a lot less frightening for an introvert who doesn't want to go on Instagram and have to be glamorous or whatever. But I'm not the future, so
this is
we'll see.
So Jennifer has a great point here. Jennifer Priest, she goes, going deep I think equals money. I buy a book or course or something for that. So I agree. So I'm not going to go unless I go read I'm not going to buy a book on Amazon unless I read the reviews. I'm not going to go and buy a course unless I know that person and probably seen their face. I mean, I'll buy a course from somebody and watch a video or a webinar or something like that. So I think that Jennifer's right on the money there. I think that diving deep we're going to have to do that to make the sale.
Right, which comes back to the whole funnel and funnel entry point, and the idea that it's top of funnel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think what Jennifer said, and you said too, seeing their face, but also hearing their voice and hearing, do I enjoy this style of learning, the style of teaching? And that's when you're ready to spend the money.
And Clubhouse and podcasting, there's a lot of similarities between the two. There's something intimate about being in somebody's earbuds in their head for a
Yeah.
half an hour, an hour. And I think that won't go away either. I think it's going to be niche
Right.
and more splintered, but the people who are doing that successfully connect. I mean, they're going to have connection. So I think that's going to be it.
Yeah, and maybe we need to create a variety. So I think about the podcasts that I listen to, and there are a few that are every day in just a few minutes. I like a little bit of that, but when I really get drawn into a topic, I want a big meaty something, right? So maybe we take a topic and cover it in as many ways as possible, really surface level for new discovery, but then really deep leading to your funnel, leading to a sale.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
All right, we have just a few minutes left, and I want to make sure that Jana has enough time to talk about her Clubhouse Club and how to find that and all of her stuff. She's got, I believe it's a course called Pinterest with a Purpose. No, that's too niche. Pinterest with a Purpose. And
Art.
yeah, so
That's not a porpoise.
no, not a purpose. And where can people find out about that, check you out, and all that stuff?
Yeah. So Pinterest with Purpose is my course that is specifically for coaches, course creators, infopreneur types of people, really service-based businesses who want to use Pinterest to attract more clients or people for their, buyers for their courses or their membership programs, group coaching programs, things like that. And that's on my website at janaomedia.com. It's at janaomedia.com/Pinterest course, of course. And if anyone wants to just learn more from me out in the social media world, I am quite active these days in our profitable Pinterest club on Clubhouse. That's it's a great place to learn whether you're just getting started with Pinterest or more advanced and looking to up level. So that is the Profitable Pinterest Marketing Club on Clubhouse.
Yeah, make sure you check that out. You don't have to get an invite anymore. It's for Android, it's for iOS. You can go right in there.
Yeah.
They're out, and there's actually some cool new stuff. So if you haven't updated your app, you guys need to go do that.
And do direct messages. So I feel like that was something that was really missing, right? So the only way to have part of the conversation or connect with anybody was to actually join people on the stage, which is a little frightening, especially for newer people. But now you can attend a Clubhouse, feel like I really want to talk to this person, just send a DM. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's
And
a great
Jennifer
addition.
has some great points. She's wondering if Pinterest will go there. Every other platform's ripped off Clubhouse.
Jennifer,
That would be
that's
interesting.
Very interesting question.
Yeah. And another good
Guess
point,
we'll
too,
see.
is email. There are a lot of people who go deeper in their emails. Interesting
Right.
convo, because a lot of, even the big, the news places are doing Substack things. I get a Morning Brew. I get stuff from Robinhood. I mean, all these different, really newsletters. And I think that is going to be a place also. And the cool thing is Pinterest can help, like Jana has been saying, the top of funnel for those things if you want to offer them. So with that, do not forget our awesome templates at bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. Elisa and Jana, this has been amazing. Elisa, I'll let you have the last word as always.
Why, thank you. Jana, I'm so happy you've been here. It's been too long in coming. And go to janaomedia.com. And please do try out the new toolkit templates. Try them out and create if you would, and let me know what you think of how they work for you.
Yep. And with that, we thank you guys
Thanks,
so
Jeff.
much. Thank you for Jennifer. Thank you, Brian. All of you in the comments. We could not do this without you. We will see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.